Let's talk for a moment about Reinhardt. Reinhardt has been in the game ever since. Obviously he's always been in the game, but he hasn't gone through any major changes like quite a lot of characters have since Overwatch's release. He has stayed mostly the same. You know, he's this rock of the Overwatch team, which is funny because it actually fits in really well with his character. You know, he's this old guy who's been around forever, and he's resolute. You know, he's the fucking rook in a game of chess. He's also big and strong and but I feel like right now there's something sort of stale about his gameplay and just Reinhardt in general, and that's probably because he hasn't really changed or kept up with the meta in a long time, and that's for a couple reasons. One, mainly the big reason, is that he does his job. Like, he works. He does exactly what he's always needed to do, and that has never changed. But he unfortunately has quite a number of problems with his kit right now that I think Blizzard is choosing not to address on purpose because he's already still viewed as a very necessary character. A lot of times, maybe slightly less so ever since Orisa came out, but even so, a lot of people will still get upset when there's not a Reinhardt or an Orisa on their team, and still mostly a Reinhardt. So the problem is that Blizzard doesn't want any one character, including Reinhardt, to be a necessary pick. So because of that, they aren't fixing the problems with it. At least that is my theory. Blizzard is much more concerned with the game's balance than they are really with any actual bug fixing, as long as that bug isn't game breaking. So, with a few notable exceptions, almost every character that's gotten a rework has made them better. And so it's introduced power creep into Overwatch, and Reinhardt hasn't really kept up with that power creep at all. For those of you who don't know what power creep is, it's a pretty simple concept. Just characters getting slowly more powerful creeps up and up as the game goes on. This is a really popular term in the Magic the Gathering community because cards get slowly better over the years, to the point where you have cards that they do the exact same job as other cards, but they just cost less, or they do more. So that's what power creep is, if you needed a definition. So most characters that have gotten a rework has made them slightly better. So there's some notable exceptions. I want to say, like, McCree has just gotten weaker over time. He has not been power creeped. Bastion, I'm pretty sure he's gotten stronger ever since this last patch, but I think his win rate has actually gone down, maybe because more people play him, and so they're not playing him in the exact same roles as they used to. But other than that, they've definitely been buffing most people up, because most people don't like their character just being nerfed. They don't like to see damage reduced. Like, fucking a certain cowboy was their guinea pig with that, and obviously the small section of the community, maybe a very vocal minority of YouTubers, made it quite known that they just really just fucking hated him. Anyway, so I don't blame them. They get this, Blizzard gets this outcry of people when their favorite character gets nerfed. So they almost always choose to rework rather than directly nerf. And some people get left behind because they sort of do their job. And now because of that, Reinhardt, he doesn't need a rework and he doesn't need a nerf. He's already still kind of strong. But I would like to see some of his shit changed or addressed right now, because of power creep, I feel like he's getting kind of weak. Dive is so fucking strong in the meta right now that Reinhardt isn't really... He's not unviable. Obviously, he's still viable. Him and Orisa are kind of viable, but he is getting weaker, and I'm afraid that unless they address his problems or change his kit, then he's only going to continue to get weaker. And again, like with McCree... fucking stun. Like they did with McCree, so by addressing his kit, they actually reduced some of the bugginess that he experienced. So maybe they could do the same thing with Reinhardt. I'm not quite sure. So let's talk about some of the problems with Reinhardt's kit. You've seen a few of them in this video right now, but let's just go through them one by one. First of all, let's start with his melee. We go through a lot of melee registration. Oh, actually, how about his ult? We just saw his fucking ult. Yeah, Reinhardt can get screwed out of his ult so fucking easily. And it is so devastating when you do. It's not necessarily, it's actually quite easy to charge. It's not like you're losing a very difficult ultimate to charge, but it sucks to think that you can wipe their team and then lose the ability to do that because, you know, Mei ice walled you. And my problem isn't necessarily that he can be countered. It's that he can be countered so randomly and unexpectedly. Like, obviously, if I knew Mei was going to throw up an ice wall and stop my ult, I just wouldn't have fucking used it. If I knew my ult wasn't going to get off, like right there, I probably wouldn't have used it. But that was more of a lag situation that McCree used his gun on. So it's just kind of bullshit. And then, so like I said, then we get back to hit registration, like against this Zenyatta here. Like that swing probably should have hit, but it didn't. How about this swing right here, right there? Probably should have hit him, but it didn't. Everyone knows that Reinhardt's got a lot of hit registration problems with his melee, and of course, if that were fixed, that would make him stronger. So they probably don't want to do that. Like, Blizzard doesn't really want to make him stronger. We got, again, his ult failing to hit him. We can even see McCree just standing in the Earthshatter in the kill cam here. It's just kind of glitchy and buggy, and of course they've decided to just never do anything about the artwork. It makes Reinhardt frustrating to play when your abilities, they just don't work, and it's so common. So luckily, his Fire Strike is probably the one ability that is, it works the most consistently. It's pretty hard to fuck up just a standard projectile being launched out at somebody. But his charge, again, they've tried to address this, and they've said they fixed it. I haven't noticed it. Look at that, just bouncing D.Va away. Like, really? She was lined up dead center. They said they fixed it. This footage that you're looking at was actually post-fix. And then elsewhere, we've got time periods where, look at that, charge, Reaper, nothing. Just fucking nothing. That should have easily been a direct hit, but it's glitchy and buggy, and they don't want to fix it because it would probably just make Reinhardt better. There is no fixes that would make him worse. Again, we've got hammer down, doesn't land anyone, because even though the hammer down looked like it happened in front of the shield, it happened behind the shield. The bugs, they just keep coming. They just keep coming with Reinhardt, and I know, with me personally, it makes me not want to play him. Like, I will play Orisa even when I know she's a weaker pick, just charging new group and not hooking into anyone. That's great. Ever since they said they made his charge better, I think what they meant is they made his charge better for everyone else. It just seems much less likely to actually hit people here, and you can just see, I've got example after example of this glitchy footage. Like, right here, look at that. Oh, successfully defend against their Earthshatter. Hey, and then hit them with mine. Nothing. Just does nothing, even though they were all sitting right in the explosion. I don't even understand how that one worked, because if you watch it, and you know how Earthshatter works, there's actually 5 projectiles that get sent out, and they should have gotten hit by those projectiles. Of course, you still have the occasional lucky charges and whatnot, even though, like I said, melee hit reg should have fucking killed Tracer, but it just didn't, and Blizzard just doesn't want to fix these problems. So I would like to see them fix them, but I don't think they will. And that's the problem with Reinhardt. That's the problem, generally, I think, with Blizzard's approach to balance in general, is that they see balance as their primary concern when addressing characters, and they've been focusing less and less on fixing problems just for the sake of fixing problems. You know damn well, every time they go into a meeting addressing someone's problems, there's someone present at the table says, yes, but what will this do to his win rate? And do we want to fix his problems at the cost of making him an overpowered, more necessary character? And like I said, I think ever since they introduced Orisa, they're trying to make Reinhardt a less necessary character. So they're leaving his bugs in the game on purpose. And to me, it's reducing my desire to play the character, and to be honest, sometimes to play the game. I'd say it's more of a general over the scheme of things. Like, I'll log into the game and be like, well, I know we need Reinhardt, but I don't really want to play Reinhardt, so maybe I'll play Orisa, who kind of does the same job, and then we play, and then I lose because we're slightly worse with Orisa, and then I'm like, well, maybe I just don't want to play Overwatch. So I think it's costly in the long run to use that approach, to only look at balance, because it's costing the overall fun playability of the game. But like I said in the previous video, they have priorities. I don't blame them for not doing this, but it's just, you know, it's something that needs to be considered, and hopefully as a member of the community, hopefully my voice holds some weight in this regard. He's not broken. He doesn't need to be fixed. There's nothing super wrong with him, but he's just the slight glitchiness that makes him worse than he could be feels bad enough that it's actually costing the game quite a bit. So that is the problem with Reinhardt.